The first signal came from the Velthary listening post on the edge of the outer rim. It was a simple automated warning, the kind that triggered perhaps twice a cycle when asteroid debris drifted too close to sensor range. Fleet Commander Torvax barely glanced at it before returning to his morning meal. His species had not seen war in 300 cycles. The Galactic Council had ensured peace through careful diplomacy and mutual defense agreements. There was nothing to fear in the void of space. Then the second signal arrived, and the third. And within moments, every screen on his command deck was flashing red. Torvax dropped his food container and rushed to the central console. His forearms moved across the controls with practiced speed, but his mind could not process what he was seeing. The sensor readings made no sense. They showed a fleet emerging from subspace, but the numbers were impossible. No species in the known galaxy possessed such a force. How many ships? His second officer asked, her voice trembling. Torvax counted the signatures again. He counted a third time. His throat went dry. 4,000, he whispered. 4,000 warships have just appeared at our border. The communication networks of the Galactic Council were designed to handle the traffic of 12,000 member worlds. They had processed the data streams of 1 trillion beings for over 10,000 cycles without ever reaching capacity. The system was considered one of the greatest engineering achievements in galactic history. Within 6 standard minutes of the human fleet's emergence, the entire network crashed. Distress calls flooded every frequency. Emergency broadcasts overlapped with diplomatic channels. Military commanders screamed for reinforcements while civilian stations demanded answers. The Velthary, the Crocian, the Malenti, and the Zorvax all transmitted at once. Their panic merged into a single wall of noise that spread across the stars like a shockwave. High Counselor Meridex was in her sleeping chamber when her personal communicator began shrieking. She had never heard the device make such a sound. It was the Council's emergency protocol, reserved for events classified as extinction-level threats. In her 40 cycles of service, she had never known it to activate. She connected to the emergency channel and found herself looking at a dozen frightened faces. Every senior member of the Galactic Council was already present, their eyes wide with fear. "What has happened?" Meridex demanded. General Korthax of the Unified Fleet answered. His scales had gone pale, a sign of extreme stress in his species. "The humans have arrived." Meridex felt her heart stop. The humans. She had read the intelligence reports, of course. Every member of the Council had studied the data collected by long-range observation probes. A young species from a single planet in an unremarkable solar system. They had achieved faster-than-light travel only 300 cycles ago. They were considered primitive. Aggressive, yes, and strangely resilient, but ultimately insignificant in the grand scale of galactic civilization. "How many ships?" Meridex asked. "Our sensors have counted 4,217 vessels so far," Korthax replied. "But more are still emerging. The subspace wake suggests this is not their full force." Meridex leaned against her desk for support. The entire unified fleet of the Galactic Council numbered 6,000 ships. These vessels were spread across 12,000 worlds. It would take cycles to gather them in one location. The humans had brought more firepower to the Council's doorstep than any single species had ever assembled in the history of galactic civilization. "This is impossible," Ambassador Velix of the Malenti protested. "Our observations showed their homeworld has only 9 billion inhabitants. How could such a small population build such a fleet?" "They have colonized over 200 worlds in 3 centuries," the intelligence director reported. His voice was barely a whisper. "We severely underestimated their expansion rate." "Their expansion rate?" Meridex repeated. "We underestimated everything about them. The human fleet held position at the border. They did not advance. They did not fire. They simply waited, their ships arranged in perfect formation, their weapons powered down but ready. It was the most terrifying display of military discipline the galaxy had ever witnessed. On the bridge of the flagship Indomitable Spirit, Admiral Chen Wei studied the chaos unfolding on the alien communication networks. Her translation software was working overtime to process the flood of signals. Most of them were distress calls. Some were prayers. A few were desperate attempts to negotiate surrender. "They're afraid," her tactical officer observed. "They should be," Admiral Chen replied without emotion. "We built this fleet in secret for 300 years. Every human colony contributed. Every family made sacrifices. We did this because we studied the Galactic Council's history. We learned how they treated species they considered inferior. We saw what happened to the Vreni and the Torlax and the 17 other civilizations that were absorbed or destroyed. We decided that would not be our fate." The tactical officer nodded slowly. He was young, born on a colony world rather than Earth, but he had grown up hearing the stories. The galaxy was not a peaceful place. It was a jungle where the weak were devoured and only the strong survived. The Galactic Council spoke of cooperation and mutual benefit, but their actions told a different story. They exploited new species for resources and labor. They restricted access to advanced technology. They maintained their power through careful control and the threat of overwhelming force. Humanity had chosen a different path. They had hidden their true capabilities. They had let the Council believe they were primitive and harmless. They had played the role of the backward species while secretly building the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Now the mask had been removed. "The Council is attempting to contact us," the communications officer reported. Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Let them wait. Every minute of silence adds to their fear. They need to understand that we are not here to beg for acceptance. We are not asking for permission to exist." Back on the Council station, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. The Velthari had already begun evacuating their border colonies. The Crocian were mobilizing their war fleets, but their commanders openly admitted they could not match the human force. The Malenti were proposing an immediate surrender, arguing that any resistance would only provoke destruction. High Counselor Meridex struggled to maintain order. "We must not panic," she insisted. "The humans have made no hostile moves. Perhaps they wish to negotiate." "Negotiate?" General Korthax laughed bitterly. "They have brought 4,000 warships to our border. This is not negotiation. This is a statement of dominance. Then what do you suggest?" Meridex demanded. "We cannot fight them. Our fleet is scattered. Our defenses are inadequate. If we provoke them, they will destroy us." The silence that followed was answer enough. None of them had a solution. For the first time in 10,000 cycles, the Galactic Council was powerless. The human fleet maintained its position for 6 standard hours. During that time, the Council received over 40 million distress calls from across its territory. Panic had spread to every corner of the galaxy. Trade routes were abandoned. Space stations were evacuated. Billions of beings huddled in fear, waiting for the end. Then, finally, the humans made contact. Admiral Chun's face appeared on every screen in the Council chamber. She was calm and composed, her uniform impeccable, her expression unreadable. Behind her, the bridge of her flagship hummed with quiet efficiency. "Members of the Galactic Council," she began. "I am Admiral Chun Wei of the United Human Fleet. I bring a message from the Parliament of humanity to all species of the galactic community." The Council members held their breath. "For 300 years, your observation probes watched our worlds. Your agents studied our societies. Your reports dismissed us as primitive, aggressive, and destined for self-destruction. You never bothered to make contact. You never offered assistance or friendship. You simply waited, assuming we would eventually destroy ourselves or become easy prey for exploitation." Admiral Chun paused, letting her words sink in. The Council members exchanged guilty glances. Everything she said was true. "We are not here for revenge," the Admiral continued. "We are not here for conquest. We are here to deliver a simple message. Humanity will not be exploited. Humanity will not be controlled. Humanity will not bow to any empire or council that sees us as lesser beings. We offer peace and friendship to all who treat us with respect. But we will never accept slavery, and we will never accept submission." The Admiral leaned forward slightly. "Our fleet will remain at this position for 10 standard days. During that time, we invite any species that wishes to establish diplomatic relations to send representatives. We will discuss trade, cultural exchange, and mutual defense. We will share technology with those who prove trustworthy. We will welcome those who approach us as equals." Her eyes hardened. "But understand this. Any attempt to harm our ships, our colonies, or our people will be met with immediate and overwhelming retaliation. We have spent 3 centuries preparing for war. We would prefer peace, but we are not afraid of conflict." The transmission ended. The council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Finally, Ambassador Velik spoke. "They could have attacked us. They could have destroyed our fleets and conquered our worlds. Instead, they offered friendship. A friendship backed by the threat of annihilation." General Corthax muttered. "Is that not how the Council has operated for 10,000 cycles?" High Counselor Meridex asked quietly. "Is that not how we maintain order? The humans have simply learned from our example. They have shown us a mirror, and we do not like what we see." The other council members had no response. Over the following days, the panic slowly subsided. The distress calls faded. The communication networks returned to normal operation. Representatives from dozens of species traveled to the human fleet, curious about these newcomers who had so dramatically announced their presence on the galactic stage. They found a species unlike any they had encountered. The humans were fierce but not cruel, proud but not arrogant, willing to fight but equally willing to cooperate. They laughed easily and formed bonds quickly. They valued loyalty and honored their commitments. They were exactly what they had claimed to be, a young species seeking its place among the stars. On the bridge of the indomitable spirit, Admiral Chun watched the diplomatic shuttles arrive. Her mission was complete. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy not as a victim or a conquest, but as a power to be respected. The future was uncertain, filled with challenges and dangers, but one thing was clear. Humanity would face that future on its own terms. The stars no longer seemed cold and indifferent. They seemed like possibilities waiting to be explored.